God said very clearly that He made everything in 6 days. Now, how could you show the age of the earth? Well, I think the very best evidence of what some people call a young earth is God said He did it in 6 days and nothing died until Adam sinned, and Jesus said that was the beginning of the creation. So the best evidence of a young earth is the Bible.
What? The Bible is the claim that the earth is young in this particular context. That means that it can't be the evidence for the earth being young because it is the source of the claim. Considering this, we have to see if we have any facts that already refute this idea. Fortunately for us, we have a lot of counter evidence that definitely refutes the idea that the earth is young. I'm planning on sprinkling in the counter evidence to all of Kent Hovind's claims throughout this particular video. So first off, what we're going to start off with is radiometric dating. Radiometric dating uses the half-lives of element isotopes in specific situations in order to tell how long something has been around. The reason why we can use these isotopes as like a clock is the decay rate from the original element to the daughter element is constant, and that makes these isotopes very good timekeepers. Typically, when we're looking to radiometrically date some sample, we'll want to choose a dating method or a set of isotopes where one of the isotopes, the daughter isotope, is going to be hardly present at all whenever the sample forms. For instance, in order to date lava flows, we would use potassium-argon dating. This is due to the fact that the lava would consume or engulf, plant life. They would have these potassium isotopes. There would be no argon isotopes in this plant matter because argon is a gas. Whenever these potassium isotopes degrade into argon isotopes, it could only ever be because the potassium degraded into argon. And from there, we can determine how long ago it was that this lava flow happened. Another radiometric dating method is uranium-lead dating that we use on zircon crystal. We use uranium-lead because the zircon crystalline structure is very easily accepting of uranium atoms, while at the same time lead is not incorporated into their crystalline structure. So any lead that appears in zircon crystals can only ever be because of uranium degrading into lead. In uranium-lead dating, we generally use two different types of uranium and lead isotopes. The half-lives of both of these isotopes are about 700 million years and about 4 billion years. Currently, the oldest zircon crystal that we have is over 4 billion years old. The fact that this crystal and lead in general exists means that the Earth is definitely older than 6,000 years. You may be wondering what Kent would say to this piece of evidence. Typically, creationists will respond with these papers that are generated by creation scientists that attempt to show a flaw in the radiometric dating method. They end up misusing the method in order to show that it doesn't work. It would be like using a hammer to smash a car window in order to open up the car door and then proclaiming that this is a silly and broken way in order to open up a car door. They have to misuse the tool in order to disprove the tool, which makes them dishonest. Another very special way to combat this piece of evidence is to specially plead for the physics prior to the flood. They just say that stuff worked differently at that time. Keep in mind that there's no evidence for this whatsoever, but they just want to presuppose that God does exist, and so therefore he could create anything in any kind of way that he wanted to. But the important point is that Kent can't overcome this counter evidence to his claim. Therefore, the Bible doesn't comport with reality in this particular context, so we can't really expect it to give us any kind of good information about reality. Suggesting that the Bible is the best proof, while every piece of evidence that we have points away from the Bible, is just irrational.
The Bible, certainly the dates in Genesis 5 and Genesis 11, clearly add up to about 6,000 years for the total age of the earth, 4,000 BC. That's never been refuted.
What he means here is that if you count up the lifetimes of specific people in the Bible, you end up with a 6,000 year timeline. The problem is that people in the Bible live unnaturally long. I believe Adam died when he was about 930 years old, and Noah, he died when he was like 950. This defies all known biological science about how our bodies work. Of course, Kent would say that these were pure-blooded humans, whatever in the Aryan fuck that would mean. So they obviously could live longer lives. More importantly, this is just pure speculation on Kent's part. He requires you to presuppose that our bodies worked differently or we were genetically different at the beginning of time than we are now. And he never does anything to prove this claim. He just presupposes it. It kind of seems like every single time they attempt to counter evidence that disproves their claim, they just have to presuppose more bullshit without any kind of evidence to back it up. In any case, another piece of evidence that refutes this notion that the Earth is young is just simply the fossil record. The fossil record dates back billions of years and is nearly impossible to overcome in this context. The fossil record also squashes this notion that humans have been on this Earth since the Earth formed. Homo sapiens have only appeared in the fossil record for the last few 100,000 years, which is obviously much older than Kent's idea of a 6,000-year-old Earth.
Some people don't want to believe that, but the best evidence, I think, of what they call, I don't think 6,000 is young, I think that's pretty old, but the best evidence of a 6,000-year-old Earth is the Bible itself.
I still do not understand why Kent thinks this, other than he thinks that God literally penned the Bible with his own lightning dick and therefore is an eyewitness to it all. It's kind of weird how God created everything in the way that it exists now, but yet he created it in such a way so that everything makes it seem very old. It's either that or God really didn't create anything and shit's just old. Oh, another thing that disproves this whole young Earth idea is the speed of light. The speed of light in a vacuum is constant. Given that generally in space there's nothing to slow down light unless that light hits another object, this means that most of the stars that we see in the sky we probably shouldn't actually see if the Earth is 6,000 years old.